or Meijer Grocery.
Still smarting over the election, two Democratic governors are forming a nonpartisan, the Governors Safeguarding Democracy, GSD. Colorado Governor Jared Polis.
We founded GSD because we know that simple hope alone won't save our democracy.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker.
GSD will leverage our collective strength, experience, and institutional knowledge to drive policies that protect the rule of law and serve the people of all of our states.
In Brookhaven, New York, a volunteer firefighter is in a whole heap of trouble after a string of brush fires.
Long Island, New York is bone dry. No significant rain for over a month. Now a 20-year-old firefighter there is facing arson charges. Jonathan Quiles of Medford, New York, arrested after phoned-in tips about a brush fire. Brookhaven Town Supervisor Dan Panico says Quiles' alleged actions
imperiled his brother and sister firefighters
and could have caused significant damage
and also potential loss of life.
Quiles charged with arson and reckless endangerment. His arrest comes amid ongoing investigations into several brush fires in Brookhaven. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Let the office debate begin. People magazine has named actor and filmmaker John Krasinski its sexiest man alive for 2024. In an interview with the mag, Krasinski cracked he's hoping wife, actress Emily Blunt, makes good on her promise to plaster the cover as wallpaper for their home. I'm Richard Cantu, ABC.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well. Hire high-quality, certified pros at Angie.com.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
I'm Bill Walter, KVNU News. News is brought to you by Dr. Keith Nelson. During a public hearing on Cache County's proposed tax increase on November 12th, the members of the Cache County Council got an earful of mostly negative comments from a packed audience of irate citizens. Members of the council and county staff are proposing a 20% property tax increase to generate more than $3.5 million in new revenue for 2025. The purpose of the revenue increase for that year will be to meet projected costs of competitive wage increases, additional staffing needs, infrastructure projects, and the inflationary cost of goods. Although that increase is the maximum that county officials can request under the state's Truth in Taxation law, Council Chair David Erickson said that he is hopeful that council members won't have to ask for that full amount after final negotiations on the budget for 2025 are completed in coming weeks. The majority of the public criticism of the proposed 20% tax hike boiled down to concerns about the possible impact of that increase on senior residents on fixed incomes, a preference for small incremental tax increases as opposed to huge increases at irregular intervals, and demands for transparency to ensure that county government had left no stone unturned in an effort to avoid the tax increase, including cutting expenses. Former county executive Lynn Lemon was among residents who spoke at the public hearing. Lemon questioned the need for the increase, given that the bond issues on the county administration building and on the sheriff's complex would be repaid in the next year or so. Police are searching for a driver who fled after striking and seriously hurting a 66-year-old man in Roy. The incident happened Monday evening around 6:20 p.m. According to Roy City Police Department officials, officers responded to a report of an auto pedestrian crash at an area that's not marked for pedestrian crossing, where they found the victim. The male sustained serious injuries from the accident and was transported to an area hospital. Investigators believe the suspect vehicle is white or pearl white and will be missing a side view mirror. Additional information on what type of vehicle may have been involved was not shared and may not have been known by whomever investigators spoke with at the scene. Prosecutors and lawmakers in Utah have said they were stunned to learn there was essentially no law against child torture in the state, adding that 2 high-profile abuse cases in Utah convinced them that needs to change. If a new bill passes, it would give serious prison time to anyone convicted of torturing a child. However, some supporters have doubts that it would actually prevent cases like this from happening in the first place. Supporters of a bill being drafted said aggravated child abuse may sound like a very serious charge, but it's just a second-degree felony when it comes to the constant torture that victims like Ruby Frankie's children went through. They don't believe abusers get enough time behind bars. Guilty on 4 counts of aggravated child abuse is what both Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrand agreed to when they pled guilty. The bare minimum amount of prison time they could serve is just over 3 years, including time already served. KBNU weather brought to you by Cardall's Insulation. If you have an older home, you might consider an update on your insulation, as today's insulation is superior to what you'll find in older homes. For a warmer, quieter home this winter, call 755-5012. Looking at partly cloudy skies tonight, overnight low in the upper 20s, and then mostly sunny around 50 degrees on Thursday. Get more news at CashValleyDaily.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Keith Nelson, board-certified, fellowship-trained orthopedic surgeon, and I want to restore your active, pain-free life. I've been an innovator in the treatment of knee pain caused by arthritis and sports injuries for 27 years. I'm the only surgeon in northern Utah to offer Omnibotics, a robotic-assisted knee replacement for your arthritic knee, which has a 97% patient satisfaction rate. Don't live with your knee pain another day. Visit drkeithnelsonortho.com. That's Dr. Keith Nelson, ortho.com.
Dr. Nelson accepts most insurances, including select health plans.
Reporting the news that matters to you. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, your #1 radio station for news and talk.
Join Adams Wealth Advisors on November 14th at 12:30 for a Market Outlook event, diving into the recent election results and their impact on the economy. Understanding and being prepared for what may happen due to political changes is a critical part of your financial plan. Discover how these political changes could shape financial markets as we head into 2025. Register now by calling 752-1702. 752-1702, November 14th, 12:30. Don't miss this opportunity to stay informed with Adams Wealth Advisors.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been faking me out. Can't make you happier now.
Welcome to KBNU's For the People. Hour 2 of today's show. It is still Wednesday, November 13th. I'm Jason Williams. A few weeks ago, we spoke with organizers at the William A. Bernard Warming Center about their upcoming schedule, when they plan to open, and more. And if you remember, in that conversation, we learned that the Warming Center over the last couple of years has helped families with children in need of a place to stay for a night, individuals who have been in between jobs and in between, rental homes or apartments, and in need of a place to stay for a couple of days or even a couple of weeks. They've also been able to help veterans in a more chronic situation of homelessness. It is a really important service provided here in Cache Valley, and it sounds so easy to take for granted. It is easy to take for granted, right? A warm place to stay, a place to sit down and play cards with others, or get a warm drink and be warm. But to someone experiencing homelessness, this is huge. And as we learned, and as they've learned there at the Warming Center, this can be the difference, the entire difference for a family with children getting back on their feet, or buying them enough time for that new job to kick in and get that first paycheck. I mean, this is a critical service that wasn't previously provided here in Cache Valley until the Warming Center existed. WABwarmingcenter.org is their website, and they depend entirely on grants and public support through individual donations, business sponsors, and more. If you'd like to be any of those things, visit their website. But joining us now, as I understand it, make sure, correct me if I'm wrong, Hannah, but an assistant manager at Jack's Wood Fire Oven, a restaurant here in Logan that can be found at let's see, make sure I get the address right here, 256 North Main Street. And Hannah and others there have organized a fundraiser for the William A. Bernard Warming Center. And Hannah Hathaway, thank you for joining us here today. Oh, no, did we lose Hannah?
Am I? Oh, there we go.
There
sorry,
you go.
You guys told me. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm sorry. That was my fault. I usually give better cues to the guests that they're on air. So blame me.
No worries.
That was my lengthy setup there because I get excited talking about the Warming Center because it's such a simple service that they provide, but such a critical service. And they are entirely dependent on grants and individual donors and business sponsors. And Hannah, that's exactly where you're coming in, right? You've put together a fundraiser for the Warming Center through Jack's Wood-Fired Oven.
Yeah, so we are excited to have our first Friendsgiving benefit dinner for the Warming Center this year. This all is kind of coming together as a team right now. We're really excited to be able to support the labs this year. We last year did weekly meal deliveries for them, so we're hoping that this event will also. Yeah, we're hoping every week our kitchen manager would hand deliver meals over there. So we're hoping to kind of encourage other businesses to, get involved and, giving back to the community. We've been really fortunate to get through, the last few years as a business here. Sure. And we're happy to be able to give back. So,
you mentioned that, Hannah, the last 4 years have been tough on every business in some way. And recognizing that and paying it forward a little bit by helping others in need is a commendable thing. And so if you can, tell listeners how they can be a part of this and how you've organized the fundraiser.
So we reached out to Lindsay at the Warming Center, who we've been working with throughout this whole process. We started kind of talking about what else we could be doing to support the Warming Center and encourage other businesses. And we reached out to places like Cafe Ibis, Spirit Goat, Beaver Mountain, and they were all happy to donate. And I think that there is a lot of businesses that do want to participate and do want to give back. And all you have to do is just send an email over to the Warming Center. They are always happy to work with businesses. And so. That
is very cool. So for those out there listening, people who appreciate the food, which you should appreciate the food at Jack's Wood-Fired Oven. If you've never been there, this is amazing stuff, and we could do a segment just on that one day. But if you go in, I assume, patronizing Jack's Wood-Fired Oven, you're then helping out the Warming Center. Is that how this works?
So for this event or in general? In general, yeah. If you come into Jack's, whatever you put into Jack's, we're giving back to the Warming Center once a week, donating pastas, pizzas. To participate with our event coming up this week, you pay for a ticket. All of the proceeds afterwards are going to go straight to the Warming Center. There's a silent auction that will actually be available online.
Very cool.
So you don't have to come to the event to participate in that auction the day of. But the best way really to get involved with the Warming Center is just to reach out to Lindsay, I guess.
Sure. And again, that is wabwarmingcenter.org to reach out to Lindsay and crew directly. If you want to be a part of this event through Jack's Wood-Fired Oven. Now, the tickets, well, first off, can you, I don't want to spoil anything because I know that Brenton said that you want to have, some of this be surprise for people who attend, but can you give us hints at some of the items in this silent auction without spoiling anything?
The silent auction, we have ski passes from Beaver Mountain. I have a few ski passes that'll be up for auction.
Wow.
We have a bunch of different gifts coming in from Ibis and Spirit Goat. I recently just got a big donation from Nicholas & Company. Our rep, Nick Jones, is the best. Wow. He's donated Headley and Bennett gear, blankets, beanies, rockers. And if you're not familiar with Nicholas & Company, there's a food distributor up here. But Nick is a local. He's great. He's been helping us out as well.
That is amazing. It's so encouraging to see businesses stepping up and all of you there at Jack's Wood-Fired Oven kind of organizing this. For listeners, the event is Thursday, November 21st at 6:30 p.m., Jack's Friendsgiving for the William A. Bernard Warming Center. And this is Hannah, for those interested, what do they need to know to get a ticket?
If you head to jackswoodfiredoven.com/friendsgiving, there's more information about the event, and then it'll also take you to a website. Eventbrite is what we're using for ticketing. You'll pay for, it's $50 per person. You can reserve just a single chair. You can reserve for a party up to 6. That saves your spot, prepays for your entire barbecue platter, live music the entire evening.
That is amazing. Live music, silent auction, Beaver Mountain Ski Pass, and that silent auction. That should get a lot of people there alone, but that's just one of many items that will be up for auction. And then I have to mention this again, Hannah, the food. So if you can, the ticket reserves your a spot at a table and a smokehouse platter alongside all of the entertainment and the silent auction and more. Tell everyone, if you can, what a smokehouse platter is.
So our kitchen manager, Casey, he grew up in the Kansas City area. He's really excited to get to kind of cook some meals from, back home for him. So a Kansas City-style barbecue, it's going to be an entire tray with 4 different types of meat. There's going to be brisket burn-ends, pulled pork, smoked wings, sliced brisket. We're also making cornbread, mac and cheese, pie. It should be a lot of fun. We also have a huge selection of craft beer and wine.
Very nice. And dessert included with the ticket as well, right?
Of course. We're making pie. I'm making peach and pumpkin pie. So.
Oh, that is, Anna, you've got to be busy between organizing this and preparing for it. But hats off. I mean, this is such an important cause to raise money for. Again, the work they do at the William A. Bernard Warming Center is so critical, and they've helped families with young children. They've helped teens. They've helped adults. They've helped veterans, whether it's a warm place to stay for a night or a couple of weeks or a couple of months, connecting them with resources and more really has made the difference for so many families to get them back on their feet after unexpected events happen, which could happen to any of us. So support the William A. Bernard Warming Center, whether that's through an individual donation at their website, wabwarmingcenter.org, or reaching out to Lindsay, as Hannah mentioned, to look at being a business sponsor or organizing a fundraiser yourself, as Hannah has done. But Hannah has put together this fundraiser through Jack's Woodfire Oven. You can get tickets, again, at jackswoodfireoven.com/friendsgiving, and I've linked to that on our Facebook page. It is November 21st at 6:30 p.m. A ticket gets you entrance, a spot at the table, a smokehouse platter, dessert, sides, drinks, all of that. Smoked buffalo wings are back for this night only, and more, as well as a silent auction with items like the Beaver Mountain Pass, items that the food you mentioned that should get a lot of people there too. Businesses have stepped up to help Jax put this together. And Hannah, I really appreciate taking some time to talk with KVNU and our listeners about this today. But just a personal thank you for putting this together for the William A. Bernard Warming Center. Again, just an important service offered here in the Valley, right?
Yeah, we're so grateful that this is a resource that's available to the people in our community. You really never know who needs this resource. We see faces that you wouldn't expect to see when we drop off food, and we're just happy that they're to offer that for the people around us.
Well, and admiration for you doing it. And as Hannah mentioned as well, if you can't make the Thursday, November 21st, Jack's Friendsgiving event to benefit the William A. Bernard Warming Center, anytime you frequent Jack's Woodfire Oven, you're giving back to the Warming Center because they volunteer, they donate food and more to the Warming Center to help them do what they do. And mention this one more time, the William A. Bernard Warming Center website, if you want to help, volunteer, donate directly, whatever it might be a business sponsor, wabwarmingcenter.org. And for the November 21st event, one more time, Jack's Woodfire Oven's Friendsgiving event to benefit the William A. Bernard Warming Center, jackswoodfireoven.com, jackswoodfireoven.com/friendsgiving. And I've linked to that on our Facebook page. Silent auction, smokehouse platter. A ticket reserves you a seat at the table plus dessert. They've got drinks. The Buffalo Wild Wings are back for one night only. And the silent auction with a lot of great things you could walk away with, all to benefit the William A. Bernard Warming Center. Again, jackswoodfireoven.com/friendsgiving. And Hannah Hathaway, assistant manager there at Jack's Wood-Fired Oven, has been our guest. Hannah, appreciate taking some time for KVNU today. And we'll check in when the next event is planned.
Thanks y'all so much for having me, and thank you for the support.
Oh, our pleasure, and thanks for the work you're doing there, putting this together. To our listeners, thank you for your time as well tuning in today. Stay tuned. More of For the People coming up right after this quick break.
Here's what some of our patients have to say about how Red River has changed their lives.
So before I started at Red River, I was having a lot of stomach pain. I was overweight, severe anxiety. I had been to multiple doctors. We had done tests, and no one could find anything that was wrong. And then a friend mentioned Red River, and I went and saw him, and it has changed my whole life. I'm sleeping through the night. I have energy for my kids. I've lost 30 pounds. No more stomach pains. I just feel really good.
Our goal is to focus on imbalances that are driving your condition or symptoms, not just give you Band-Aid answers. So when a patient comes to our office, we'll sit down with them extensively and go over their blood work to find out the underlying imbalances driving their symptoms.
Call Red River Health and Wellness at 855-55-RIVER with offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
Call Red River today. After 8 years and thousands of transformations, Bell Medical is now Bell Sculpt. And to celebrate, we are offering 25% off of our award-winning body sculpting services, and we'll create a custom plan at a custom price to help you feel the very best in your body. At Bell Sculpt, we're not only experts in body sculpting, we're experts in confidence. Book your free consultation at mybellsculpt.com today. That's BELLE sculpt.com.
With the arrival of fall, potential heavy rainstorms, fallen leaves, and debris, the Cache Stormwater Coalition would like to remind you of a few things to be mindful of. Clean out all the leaves and debris from your rain gutters. Use a broom or rake to remove leaves and debris from the top of storm drains, as clogged storm drains can lead to flooding. Don't keep piles of yard waste in your yard, on the sidewalk, or street. Use a green waste recycle bin, and check with your local city office on where to place collected leaves for pickup. And when it snows, remember to keep the snow away from curb and gutter and storm drains. We can all make a difference if we do our part. Brought to you by the Cache Stormwater Coalition.
Fall is here. Winter is on the way. And while the fields may be quiet, the work never stops. Cache Equipment is your partner through every season, offering Kubota, AGCO, and Massey Ferguson machinery. Right now is the perfect time to service your equipment, and the expert service team at Cache Equipment is here to help. Whether you're maintaining land, handling livestock, or already preparing for spring, Cache Equipment is here all year to support you with reliable parts and equipment. In Hyde Park and online at cacheequipment.com.
Everyone has been asking me, hey, radio guy, what's the forecast for winter? Well, spoiler alert, it's going to be cold, but there is something you can do. Call Cardall's Insulation. With better insulation, you'll be amazed at how much warmer your home is. Get this, as much as 35% of your home's heat is lost through your walls and attic. And if your home was built before 1980, it's even worse. And right now there's a tax credit up to $1,200 for upgrading your insulation. Call Cardall's Insulation for all the details. 755-5012. That's 755-5012.
25 NCAA championships, 18 conference championships.
And the Aggies are going dancing.
10 tournament championships.
The Aggies are pulling out the scissors, and they're going to cut down the nest.
Our winning culture continues. Our Utah State Aggies play here on the Aggie Sports Network.
Pre-game begins 1 hour before tip-off. Don't miss game day on your home of the Aggies. News Talk KVNU.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Yesterday, Cache County Council got an earful from a large string of Cache County residents turning out in force at the Cache County Council meeting over during a public hearing on a proposed 20% increase to property taxes. That's pretty big. Members of the council and staff are proposing a 20% property tax increase to generate more than $3.5 million in new revenue for 2025. And the stated purpose of the revenue increase for 2025 will be projected costs, keeping wages competitive within the county so we don't, lose everyone who knows how to do the service work of the county, roads and things like that. That's an important thing. The county says they have additional staffing needs. There are infrastructure projects underway and yet to get started. And inflationary cost of goods also cited as a reason. So basically saying they need another $3.5 million of stable money in the budget each year. And to do that, they've proposed this 20% property tax increase. It's worth noting, too, that increase is the maximum that county officials can request under the state's rules. The Truth in Taxation law, most of you know that as the law that requires public hearings on proposed tax increases like this. But it is also a law that says you can't go up more than 20% at a time. Council Chair David Erickson said at the meeting that he's hopeful that council members won't have to ask for that full amount, that this is a starting point for negotiations on the budget for 2025. And they'll be, they have a few weeks still to complete that. And so they're basically saying there's going to be more discussion about that. There also is a possibility. This is noted, by the way, in the story by Charlie Schill at CashValleyDaily.com, where I'm pulling all this from. I heard about this first on social media because the turnout alone was getting attention from even Salt Lake media. Word got around before the meeting was even over that this huge group of people has showed up to this meeting to let the county council have it. And Salt Lake media caught wind of that, and they were following along. And I saw a tweet that was a screenshot of the live stream from a Salt Lake Tribune journalist. So that's when I first heard about it. I'm like, whoa. Well, I knew this meeting was happening. I didn't know that everyone else was going to show up to yell at him, though it's not surprising. One other thing to note about this is the discussions may also include, Charlie Schill notes in the CashValleyDaily.com story, approval of what's called County Ordinance 2024-22. This would adjust salaries of certain county elected officials. Now, a public hearing on the salary adjustments has to happen separately, and that's scheduled for November 26th, which is horrible timing, but that's the schedule. But the majority of criticism last night was over this proposed 20% tax hike. And that criticism boiled down to concerns about the impact on senior residents, on fixed incomes. I mean, that's a big jump. A preference for small incremental tax increases over a series of years would maybe be easier for people to kind of factor into their budget. That was, something discussed. There were also demands for better transparency, saying, if you're going to jack up our property taxes 20%, let's see the salaries and the budget and the infrastructure project costs first, to ensure county government has really left no stone unturned trying to find this additional $3 million needed in the budget each year to keep the lights on and keep the projects going. Others said, we want to see more transparency to show the county council has tried everything they can to cut expenses in other areas first. Charlie Schill notes that those questions about transparency during this meeting kind of fell on deaf ears. They weren't addressed. Erickson gave members of the public 2 minutes each to plead their case and tried to keep that time limit strict. But late in the evening, Erickson said that he had other council members are feverishly working to cut expenses to avoid the full 20% tax increase. Said, we're doing the best we can. If you don't like it, vote us out. What a horrible thing to say. I'm so disappointed with Council Chair David Erickson for that one comment. We're doing the best we can. If you don't like it, vote us out. Come on. You need that is not the way a leader talks. What a leader says is, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you expressing yourself on this issue. We understand how distasteful jumping 20% in 1 year and how difficult that's going to be for many families, property owners, and seniors on fixed incomes. We understand that. We're doing everything we can to avoid that. You don't say, we're doing the best we can. If you don't like it, vote us out. Good heavens. So again, this is, as Charlie notes in the story, this is easier said than done, voting them out. So the council conveniently delayed the final decisions on the 2025 budget until days after the November 5th general election. Oh, yeah. Former county executive Lynn Lemon was a resident who spoke at the public meeting. And Lemon questioned, again, former county executive here for a long time, frequent guest on our show, I might add. He questioned the need for the tax increase. This is a person who knows the budget, who knows the needs of the county. And don't get me wrong, I am not one of these people that believes you can always make the budget work out by cutting costs. It's such an unrealistic thing to believe. You know, there are times when you're going to have to raise revenue in the form of a tax increase, or as the state likes to do it, backfilling the budget with fees and penalties so they don't have to do the tax increase. But they're still taxing you. It's just piecemeal and across everything as opposed to a simple tax. But they have to campaign, and campaigning on a simple tax. No one ever says, I'm going to throw you out of office because the boat registration fee went up $60 again this year, right? But they will throw you out of office for increasing taxes. So that's how the legislature likes to do it. They don't have that option at the county level. So again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it is wrong for the county to seek to increase revenue, even through a tax increase. 20% is a lot to jump there at one time. That's going to hurt a lot of people. I'm disappointed by the comments of Chair David Erickson. If you don't like what we're doing, vote us out. Come on. But I believe the council is working hard on this. But Lemon, former county executive, saying, you know, I don't believe the need for this. This is a person who understands the budgeting process as a longtime former executive of the county. This is a person who worked with the council and understands their budgeting process. And he said at this meeting that given the bond issues on the county's administration building and the sheriff's complex would be repaid in the next year or so, he's wondering if that was factored in. So there's this expense that's been on the, drawing from the budget for multiple years, and those are going to be paid off next year, and suddenly that money will be then freed up. It's already in the budget, but it'll no longer be tied up by paying off these bonds that are about to be paid off. So he brought that up at the meeting, Lemon did, as an example of, have we really considered everything? He questioned whether the council had considered tapping the county's financial reserves in lieu of a 20% property tax hike. Those reserves currently around just over $24 million. And Lemon finally suggested that any decision on a tax hike be delayed until after the county's new auditor, Matt Funk, who was just officially elected November 5th, has a chance to actually look over the books himself, since he, as auditor, will be in charge of making all this add up. So it was a heated meeting. Jay Bankhead argued that county officials should be making growth work for them by charging developers the true cost of infrastructure upgrades. There were sentiments echoed by many residents at the meeting who said that the proposed tax hike should be delayed until, discussions have gone on a lot longer around this and not be so rushed right after the election. Yeah, it was an interesting thing, to say the least. Former Cache County Clerk Jess Bradfield also spoke at the meeting, and his comment prompted applause and a partial standing ovation because he said, given his previous experience with council members withholding pay increase for arbitrary reasons, something that happened to him and led in part to him resigning his position, Bradfield questioned whether the upcoming debate over a compensation increase for elected officials would be at all transparent, which drew the ire of Chair Erickson. Said that the topic under discussion was tax increases and residents should stick to it rather than airing, quote, personal grievances. What a night, honestly. Again, defending the county on the proposal, not the 20%, but the proposal. Sometimes you have to raise more revenue. It happens. It's not realistic to say you can constantly cut the budget and pay for everything. That No business can work that way. Neither can the county. So eventually you do have to generate more revenue, but 20% is a lot. Questions about transparency are legitimate and very fair, and questions about whether the county has really done everything, it exhausted all other options already to find this stated needed $3.5 additional dollars in the budget. And again, Erickson's comments, we're doing our best. If you don't like it, vote us out. To say that when you are having this discussion less than a week from the election where people could have voted you, almost asking for getting yelled at public meetings. But we'll see what happens. Full story on this by Charlie Schill at CashValleyDaily.com. Cache County Council gets an earful at a public hearing this week over a proposed 20% increase to property taxes. Link on our Facebook page or on the front page of CashValleyDaily.com, and we'll be back with more of For the People right after this. Look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Asking for the public's help identifying a suspect accused of stealing and vandalizing several flags around the west side of Logan. The incidents reportedly occurred in the days following the general election. Logan City Police said the individual allegedly stole and slashed several American and Trump flags in 5 separate incidents since November 7th. The crimes occurred in the area of 400 and 500 North. Several of the incidents were captured on security cameras. Police officers posted photos of the suspect. They have long brown hair underneath a stocking cap, and they are seen wearing a dark gray coat and dark-colored jeans. Anyone who recognizes the individual is asked to contact the police department at 435-753-7555. 2 Utah men were charged with defrauding private investors in popular restaurant businesses. The affected businesses include Crumble Cookies, Dirty Bird, Everbowl, Hello Sugar, and Las Batelas. Beginning in March 2021, Utah business partners 42-year-old Aaron Wagner and 46-year-old Michael Maines reportedly devised a scheme to trick lenders and investors into sending millions of dollars to entities the two controlled through Wags Cap Food Services LLC. Wagner told lenders and investors their funds would be used to develop certain restaurants. He then used the funds for personal expenses, investments, or to prop up projects for other investor groups, which also included himself as an investor. Wagner also reportedly tricked investors and lenders into thinking he was a successful businessman by showing off his jets, exotic vehicles, and luxury vacations. The attorney's office said Wagner failed to disclose a large part of his success was financed by investor funds he allegedly stole from the businesses they were meant to support. Essentially, Wagner used new investor money obtained through fraud to falsely appease previous investors. KVNU weather brought to you by Dr. Keith Nelson, board-certified orthopedic surgeon, experienced in successful surgeries for sports medicine and arthritis. For arthritis, Dr. Nelson offers the Omnibotic knee replacement system with a 97% patient satisfaction rate. Go to drkeithnelsonortho.com. Visit drkeithnelsonortho.com. Partly cloudy is the forecast for tonight, low in the upper 20s, and then mostly sunny Thursday and around 50 for the high. Get more news at CashValleyDaily.com.
ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu. Since it's President-elect Trump now, the Washington, D.C. election interference and classified documents cases against him are going away.
In the coming weeks, Special Counsel Jack Smith will be putting the finishing touches on his final reports regarding the investigations of President-elect Donald Trump. The investigation centering on the alleged mishandling of classified information and Trump's role on January 6th. In all other Special Counsel cases launched under his tenure, Attorney General Merrick Garland has made those reports public.
ABC's Pierre Thomas. The president-elect wants to nominate Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz as the next attorney general. He's also looking or going to nominate Florida Senator Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. One person was killed in at least one explosion outside Brazil's Supreme Court in Brasilia. A police statement says an artifact exploded outside the court. Officials say the court's justices all left the building safely. This is ABC News.
Roof Rescue is your local roofing specialist, dedicated to keeping your home safe and dry no matter the weather. Their team of experienced roofers is here to serve you, providing top quality service at affordable prices. From minor repairs to complete roof replacements, they've got you covered. Remember, your roof is your first line of defense in protecting your family from the elements. So don't wait until the next storm to discover your roof problems. Call Roof Rescue today at 435-999-4268. They're your trusted local roofing experts, here to keep your home safe and dry. Roof Rescue, celebrating 10 years of providing watertight peace of mind.
This Thanksgiving, join us at Elements Restaurant for a truly classic dining experience. Element chefs are crafting a magnificent Thanksgiving dinner that includes succulent turkey with sage gravy, creamy whipped garlic potatoes and sweet potatoes, savory cornbread dressing, green beans, and fresh baked warm rolls. And don't forget the mouthwatering desserts, including pumpkin and pecan pie. Why slave away in the kitchen when you can relax with your loved ones and savor the flavors of the season at Elements Restaurant? Open Thanksgiving from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Call now for reservations, 752-5171.
Ski season is coming, which means Season Ski Rentals. This is Mark at the Sportsman, where we have over 20 years of season ski rental experience. We rent to kids and adults. Come in to get season ski rentals for your entire family. We like to wait a little later in the fall because there is a chance your kids might grow out of their boots by the time ski season actually rolls around. Starting at $69.99, you will get the right gear for your kids to ski this year at the Sportsman on Main Street in downtown Logan, with tons of parking in the back.
This is Jay with Daryl's Appliance. I have some breaking news. Black Friday pricing has started at Daryl's Appliance. For a limited time, double dip and get our exclusive mail-in rebates and save up to $1,000 on appliance packages from your favorite brands. Plus, you can triple dip with Daryl's exclusive 2-year warranty on all appliances delivered and installed by Daryl's. Daryl's Black Friday sale. See store for details. Daryl's West on Airport Road, open until 6 p.m. on weekdays, 5 on Saturday.
In light of that story at CashValleyDaily.com we just talked about, with some choice quotes there from, especially Councilmember David Erickson. Wrong thing to say at a public hearing, man. My professional advice there: don't say that to a group of people who showed up to yell at you when they are your constituents. Erickson said, if we're doing our best, if you don't like it, vote us out. You don't say that a few days after an election when you're proposing a 20% property tax increase. But listener asked during the break, and I'd planned to get to this on the other side of that news break there, but what does it, so again, as council members in the discussion at this public hearing mentioned, the 20% increase proposal is a starting point for negotiations. They're hoping to not end there. And I guarantee after the turnout last night, to yell at them, including former county officials and a former county executive, Lynn Lemon, who basically said, I paraphrasing here, but basically saying, look, I don't think you've really left any stone unturned. I think there are ways that you could come up with this stated necessary $3.5 additional million for the budget to meet costs of providing services in the county other ways. That's a former county executive saying that, someone who knows the budgeting process well. What does it mean? Say they do end up just ignoring everybody and approving a 20% tax increase. Well, I guarantee what it means is that David Erickson then gets his wish and they're all voted out next go round, but that would be 2 years away. So what would happen to you and your budget? I mean, let's be honest, 20% for most people isn't going to be the end of the world, because we're not taking 20. So I did some digging here. According to Smart Asset, they have an average for every state. And so the average property tax bill here in Utah is for residential, not business. The average property tax bill here in Utah right now is about $2,200 a year. And so a 20% increase. We're not talking on that average. Again, yours might be higher or lower. That's the average for the state of Utah this year, according to Smart Asset and their number crunchers. So that we're not talking a 20% increase on the $2,200 average property tax bill here in Utah. We're talking 20% of the county's portion of that. So roughly, and Charlie Schild breaks this down for you in the story at cachevalleydaily.com as well, but a 20% increase in property tax from the county would translate into about $64 a year increase to your property tax bill, courtesy of the Cache County. Because you also have school districts and I mean, there are a lot of entities, we've talked about this here on the show, that can adjust property tax rates overall. The water district, the school district, here in Cache County, the Cache Mosquito Abatement District can also do this. So again, not the end of the world. But for some people, you know, a senior on a fixed income, an additional $64 a year, jumping to that immediately. So if this was approved, this would be next year. Everyone's bill, on average at least, would be about $64 a year more expensive. For a senior on a fixed income, that's a big chunk of money. For a business, for those curious, it would be an increase for businesses here in Cache Valley of about $115 per year. They're currently paying the county's portion of your property tax bill on average for a business in Cache Valley is currently $580. For a resident, $318. It would go up $319, rounding up. It would go up to $382 for a resident, $64 increase, and it would go up to $695 for a business if we did a 20% increase to the county's portion of your property tax bill. So again, not the end of the world, but for a lot of people, an additional $64 per year on the property tax bill is going to be rough. So again, especially seniors on fixed incomes. I think what gets people going about this, and it is really a legitimate question, and some of this can't be answered by any county or council member, because some of this is a state discussion, a Utah legislature discussion. But when you think of property taxes and you think of the always increasing expenses of running a county, and sure, we can always have a debate over services provided. Maybe the county shouldn't be doing this. I know libertarians advocate privatizing as much as possible, and maybe that works in some places, maybe it doesn't. I guarantee no one wants to live in a world in which the roads we all have to rely on to get to work and go grocery shopping are owned and operated and repaired and upgraded by private companies with a bottom line to think about more than a public good. So I personally, I like that the county builds roads and maintains roads, right? There's also, critical things like fire, the sheriff's department. I mean, these are pretty important. We can have debates over the size of the sheriff's department's budget. Personally, when it comes to law enforcement and teachers, I always land in the same place. They don't get paid enough. I would struggle to do what they have to do for the money they make. And I think that those are great reasons to have to pay taxes. And these are just off the top of my head. There are hundreds more you could come up with. But so again, I think we as voters, as constituents, can be frustrating for elected officials because we want the county or the city or the state or even the federal government to do everything we want them to do, but we don't want to ever have to pay more for it. And that's just not realistic, right? There are going to be situations where taxes can go down. The state legislature has cut income taxes, I think 3, maybe 4 years in a row. I mean, by a tiny bit, but still. That's possible because of budgetary decisions they've made. But the budgetary decisions they've made is that they can reduce income taxes and keep other taxes low here in Utah. Because if you go to register your boat, it's going to cost you 3 times as much as it does in another state. So either way, you're paying, right? It's just a kind of a structural decision on how that revenue is generated. In Utah, elected officials like to run on run for re-election being able to say they never raised taxes or they lowered taxes. And the way they make that possible is backfilling the budget by increasing fees for everything. In fact, if you look, when the Utah legislature lowers taxes, the fee for a speeding ticket always goes up. Not unconnected. So my point here is that, you can't go shout at your elected official. I think the least productive thing we can do right now is go shout at the Cache County Council. You don't need the money. Cut a service somewhere. And maybe they can. I don't know. I'm not intimately familiar with their budget. Maybe there is something. I like former county executive Lynn Lemon at this public hearing pointed out that a couple of bonds are about to be paid off. And that's a lot of money being sucked out of the budget right now that suddenly won't be in a couple of years. Could you buy enough time with this budget constraint that they're saying is the reason for this proposed 20% increase to property taxes, the county's portion of your property tax bill? Lynn Lemon saying at this public hearing, could you buy enough time to the point where both those bonds for the sheriff's complex and more are paid off, at which point you've got a lot of money freed up in the budget? That's what this conversation is about. Again, outside of Erickson's comment, which I think does deserve immediate condemnation. He told the crowd, we're doing the best we can. If you don't like what we're doing, vote us out. Horrible thing for any elected officials to say 5 days in a conversation you brought up after the election by days. That is a very cynical attitude for an elected official to have, to say that to constituents who showed up. And granted, people were probably angry. And again, we can be unreasonable. We want the county to do everything, but we don't want to pay for it. That's an impossible ask, right? You got to pay for it or you got to give it up. One of the two. And so defending the county on that point. Also, again, they said this 20% is a starting point. They hope that they can find a way to not end up having to do that. It's a starting point for negotiations, one council member said. Again, this is a big deal. And the broader conversation that we maybe should be having in this state around this, because, again, the question that comes into my mind, and I think most people's mind, is where does this end? As costs to maintain roads, provide fire services, other critical services counties and cities provide us with, as those costs increase, are property taxes just always going to go up? And is that going to stay, are the wages going to continue to rise at the same rate so we can afford to pay those property taxes? And what if they don't? And that leads to a larger conversation of how we're funding the state overall. Should we be so dependent on property taxes? I think we should talk about these things. If you could have a 0.5% higher income tax rate as opposed to an ever-increasing property tax bill, and I'm not saying I know the answer to this. I'm saying this is a question we need to ask and answer. Would that be more palatable to the public? If your income taxes went up, so they've gone down 1.5% over the last 4 years here in Utah. What if they went up 0.5% and we weren't so dependent on property taxes to pay for so much stuff? Would that be a better world for everyone to live in? Would that be more palatable, more easy for people to absorb into their budget? If your property taxes didn't go up every couple of years by 60, 70, 80 bucks, $100, and instead you paid 0.5% more in income tax on every paycheck. Again, I'm not saying I know the answer. I'm saying that these are questions that every time something like this comes up, these are questions that I feel need to be answered. So we'll see if it happens, to say the least. But it is a very, very relevant thing to worry about. So that's our program today. We're wrapping up a bit early to make room for Aggie Call, which is coming up right at 6 o'clock here on KVNU Logan in just a couple of minutes.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
This is Justin Hamilton from Cafe Sabor and Off-Premise Catering. The holidays can be so hectic. That's why I'm so excited to make your holiday catering so simple. Maybe it's a last-minute holiday office lunch, family get-together, or corporate party. I can handle any size gathering with my off-premise catering team. You'll love Cafe Sabor's favorites or Hamilton Steak and Seafood, prime rib, salmon, and all the trimmings. The menu is up to you. Let my off-premise catering team handle your last-minute holiday event at your office, home, Cafe Sabor, or one of our many banquet facilities. Call 755-9500. That's 755-9500. Happy holidays from your friends at Cafe Sabor and your off-premise catering team.
Hi, I'm Dr. Keith Nelson, board-certified, fellowship-trained orthopedic surgeon, and I want to restore your active, pain-free life. I've been an innovator in the treatment of knee pain caused by arthritis and sports injuries for 27 years. I'm the only surgeon in northern Utah to offer Omnibotics, a robotic-assisted knee replacement for your arthritic knee, which has a 97% patient satisfaction rate. Don't live with your knee pain another day. Visit drkeithnelsonortho.com. That's drkeithnelsonortho.com.
Dr. Nelson accepts most insurances, including select health plans.
Roof Rescue is your local roof specialist, dedicated to keeping your home safe and dry no matter the weather. Their team of experienced roofers is here to serve you, providing top-quality service at affordable prices. From minor repairs to complete roof replacements, they've got you covered. Remember, your roof is your first line of defense in protecting your family from the elements. So don't wait until the next storm to discover your roof problems. Call Roof Rescue today at 435-999-4268. They're your trusted local roofing experts, here to keep your home safe and dry. Roof Rescue, celebrating 10 years of providing watertight peace of mind.
Advanced Heating and AC and Advanced Fireplace and Stove want to help local families this year with a food drive. Drop off your canned foods at Advanced Heating across from DI or hand them to one of their technicians when they come to your home for a repair. And to say thank you, the Advanced team will match all your contributions and offer a 20% discount on your next service call. Find out more at AdvancedFireplaceandStove.com or call 752-7272. Donate to Advanced Fireplace and Stove's canned food drive for local families.
We're not comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. I'd like to invite you to learn more about us. Since 1997, we've been Utah's premier one-stop shop for home medical equipment. What sets us apart at Alpine Home Medical is the superior level of customer service. We provide home oxygen, CPAPs, wheelchairs, scooters, breast pumps, and so much more. Come on down and get to know us.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Visit alpinehomemedical.com.
Medicare supplement premiums seem to be skyrocketing. This is Ashley from LSS Insurance, and I want you to know there are options that allow you to start saving today. Our entire team is here and local. Call LSS Insurance at 752-9493 and speak with a licensed insurance agent. No pressure, no cost, just local help you can trust. Don't wait. Changes must be made by December 7. Call 752-9493 and let the